Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about an interesting lens. It's an AstrHori 18mm f8 lens. Besides being quite small, it's a little bit unique because it holds the shifting functions. Many of you knows about tilt shift lenses. The tilt functions are quite fun, but it can be a little bit gimmicky. The shift function, however, is quite useful. One of the main benefits to have a shift function is, for example, if you're shooting a house or something like that and you have a lot of straight lines in your shot. Because we know if you hold the camera straight, you get straight lines, but you don't see the full house. But as soon as you move the camera upwards like this, we start to get those lines that bends upwards. But the solution for this is quite easy. Hold the camera straight and shift the lens like this. This lens is a fixed aperture. It's always f8, so you can't really change it. It's also a manual focus lens, but due to the fact that the lens is 18mm and it's an aperture of 8, you kind of have sharpness almost everywhere at any point. So you don't have to be super accurate to set your focus. This is also pretty fun because it makes it a quite unique experience. If you're, for example, shooting street photography, you could basically just like walking around with the camera and just shoot from the hip, or being very quick and putting the camera up in the faces of people or whatever you want to do. And you know that there's focus everywhere basically because the depth of field is that deep. But the thing I enjoyed a lot with this lens is to stitch together images. And with the shift function, stitching images together is quite easy. Shoot one fully tilted to the left, one in the middle, and one to the far right. Or just being lazy and shoot one image like this, and then one to the very far right, and you could still stitch them together pretty good, and then you could just crop away those black circles that you're gonna get in the very edge. This gives you a quite unique perspective on things because it's an 18mm and it kind of covers a full frame sensor. Kind of. In one sense it does, in another sense it doesn't. It does if you doesn't shift it, but if you shift it all the way to the edges, you start to see those corners. But not a big deal. You could choose if you want to shoot it on an APS-C, or if you want to shoot it on a full frame, or if you want to put your full frame camera on the Super 35 mode. The lens itself is rotatable 360 degrees around its own axle. So that tilt, that shift function can go anywhere. Let's talk some about the technical specifications about this lens. It's an 18mm lens with a fixed aperture at 8, which means you can't change the aperture. It's always 8. It has the shift function, and it also has the ability to turn the axis 360 degrees around itself. It comes with 9 elements in 9 groups. If you want to add a filter on this, it has a filter thread of 58mm. It has a solid construction. It's made of full metal design. It's lightweight, and all the knobs and all the adjustments are soft, and there's a good tactile feeling towards it. It weighs around 164 grams. Let's sum this up. As most lenses, there is some flaws with this lens as well. When it comes to the sharpness, especially out on the edges, we see that even this lens is slightly softer, and then we have this thing when you shift the lens and the image goes out of the image circle. However, I don't see those as certainly big things to complain about. Otherwise, besides that, it's a good performing lens, and especially considering the price, this lens retails for $99 US. So it's cheap. And in that sense, you kind of need to considering the value versus the money. The value of this lens is high, especially considering the price. And because of the price, you could also live with those flaws. I always think when I'm reviewing lenses, especially these kind of lenses, which is a niche lens, that you have to look on the image character and the photographic experience that the lens provides. This is not a lens where you're gonna sit and pixel peep and look on the corner sharpness and things like that. This is a lens where you want to know how it works considering the functions it provides. And the functions you get on this lens is the shift. And it is, as far as I know, the cheapest shift lens you can get, and it provides a good experience of use. So, would I recommend anyone to pick this lens up? Yes, absolutely. It's a fun and a unique lens to use, and it gave me some joy to use it, and I suppose it's gonna give you the same photographic experience, and it's gonna be a joyful lens to use. As it is today, you will find this lens with mounts from most manufacturers, from Sony, Nikon, Canon, and so on. I only wish that they would do Fuji X mount and other mounts where the manufacturer only have an APS-C size sensor, because this lens works really good for those smaller sensors, even arguably better than it does for a full frame sensor. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, click here to see a playlist related to photo stuffs, and click here to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I see you later.